Okay, friends, so today we're going to be taking a look at another sort where we've got double, E drop, and nothing rules. The only difference to this, as opposed to adding ing, is we're just adding the suffix ed. I want you to think about words that have an ed suffix, like the word chewed. This ed goes on to the base word, right? You've got that full base word chew. I'm going to do a suffix chop, and we think the meaning of that ed is it's in the past, right? I chew, I am chewing, I chewed it yesterday, okay? So this ed suffix has a past tense meaning. So on your word sort test this week, when we got those meaning boxes, we'll be looking for you to remember that ed suffix has a past tense meaning. Okay, so let's take a look here, right? Did we double that W? Nope. We have an E to drop? Nope, we had nothing, right? So that followed that nothing rule. Now you will notice that we have an oddball header, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's take a look at the word lived. You can chop off that ed suffix. Take a look at that base word, right? Notice how the word live has an E, so we had to drop that E before adding that suffix ed. Now some students think that we just add D to it, right? Because there's already an E. What we're really doing is it follows that same E drop rule. This suffix just happens to begin with an E, but we're still adding it on, just like we did with ing. So, lived, and the word seemed. Go ahead and chop off that suffix, underline that full base word right there. It seemed like it was going to go all right, right? It seems right now, seemed in the past. So we had nothing to do on that. Find the word named. Go ahead and chop off that suffix. Take a look at that base word, right? We had an E at the end that we dropped, so it's an E drop. Go ahead and find the word past. Now notice how past, this ed suffix makes a t sound, doesn't it, right? So it's even more helpful to think about what that word means. I passed the ball, right? I am passing the ball, I passed the ball. Those are things happening right now. But I passed the ball to Joey. That happened in the past. It just happened, right? And it doesn't have to be a long time ago, but it happened in the past. So even though this has a t sound to it, when we think about that meaning of that ed past tense suffix, it will help us remember that it's spelled with an ed. So when we take a look at that full base word, go ahead and make sure that you underline that full base word. Notice we don't have any more to do to it, right? It's already has a double S, so we have nothing else to do. Think about the word dropped. Oh, that also has that sound to it. Go ahead and chop off that suffix. Notice again we've got a double, and that's to keep this vowel sound short, right? Otherwise we'd get it confused with an E drop word, right? We think that maybe it was just one P and an E that dropped and the word was droped. So that's a double. We double that consonant to keep that vowel sound short. Let's look at the word started. Go ahead and chop off that suffix. You've got that full base word. It's an R-controlled syllable right there. And typically we don't need to change anything for those. We don't need to keep it short. Typically R-controlled syllables go into our nothing category. Notice how I said typically before, right? Because when we think about the word stirred right here, you can chop off that suffix, okay? That's why we don't really have spelling rules. We've got patterns, right? And this is an R-controlled word that sort of breaks the pattern. When we think about the base word stir, it just has one R, okay? So we did double that R before adding that suffix that began with a vowel right there. So this goes into our double category. For our next word, stepped, go ahead and chop off that suffix, underline the base word. Notice it was a closed syllable, right? It was a short vowel sound. We wanted to keep that short and not get it confused with E drops. So we've got doubling that consonant to keep that vowel sound short. So the next word, nodded. Go ahead and chop off that suffix. Underline the base word. Closed syllable, right? Short vowel sound. We doubled that consonant to keep that vowel sound short. Next word is scored. Go ahead and chop off that prefix. Take a look at the word part, score, right? Notice that's not the whole thing, right? There was an E that we dropped so that we could say, oh, scored, right there. So that is an E drop. Our next word is shouted. Go ahead and chop off that ed suffix, that past tense suffix. Underline that full base word. It's a double vowel, right? We didn't have any vowel to keep short. This is a ow sound, it's a diphthong sound. It's a double vowel. Closed. Chop off that suffix. Notice the word close has an E at the end of it that we chopped off before adding that ed suffix. It's a silent E word, right? Mixed. Go ahead and chop off that suffix. Okay? I want you to think about this one, right? When we think about this full base word right here, it can definitely go into one of these categories. It's a short vowel sound. Keep that vowel sound short. Normally we would think we would have to double that, right? If it's following the pattern of the rest of these, keeping that vowel sound short. But because X has that K sound to it, combination of both that K sound and that S sound, it's got the sound of two consonants already. So we have nothing, okay? You can put that into that oddball category if you'd like to, but I'm going to go ahead and stick it right in nothing because I understand why I didn't have to double that X because of that K-S sound. But that's why we've got that oddball there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the word helped. And chop off that suffix again, right? You hear that t at the end of that. We know that helped, I helped my friend. I'm helping my friend, that's happening right now. She helps her friend, that's happening right now. She helped her yesterday or helped her earlier, right? That's past tense, happening in the past. Let me take a look at this base word right here. We've got that whole base word, so we had nothing to do before adding that ed. Next word is weighted. Go ahead and chop off that suffix. Notice a double vowel right there. So we had no E's to drop or vowel sounds to keep short. Weighted, had nothing to do. Wanted. Same idea, right? Chop off that suffix. We've got that whole base word right there. We already have two consonants. We don't have any reason to double anything else to keep anything short. And take a look at the word grabbed and chop off that suffix. Underline the base word grab. Notice that's a closed syllable right there. It's a short vowel sound ending with a consonant. We have to double that consonant to keep that vowel sound short. Anytime we're adding a suffix that begins with a vowel like A, E, I, O, or U, or at least usually that's how it works. Let's find the word acted and chop off that suffix. It's a closed syllable. It's already got two consonants though, so no reason to double anything right there. Planned. Chop off that suffix, right? If we underline that base word plan, it's a closed syllable, but it only had one consonant at the end. That's why we had to double that consonant to keep that vowel sound short. We might think it was planed, getting confused with an E drop, silent E syllable. Next word is saved, and chop off that suffix, right? And so if we didn't know that this was an E drop word, it would look like it was a closed syllable salve, right? And we would expect that V to be doubled in order for that vowel sound to be short. So we've got one consonant right there. That's telling us that this was a silent E syllable before, and we had an E drop before adding that suffix that begins with a vowel. Let's find the word hopped right here. Chop off that suffix, underline that base word, right? It's a closed syllable, ends with a consonant, vowel sound is short. We had to double that consonant to keep that vowel sound short. We might think it was the word hoped, right? Take a look right here at that very next word, the word hoped. Do you see the difference between the two, right? And kind of the real reason, again, that we've got these doubling rules and these E drop rules. Because of that double consonant, we know that that word is hopped. Otherwise, we'd get it confused with this word hoped, right? Where we had the silent E syllable hope. We dropped that E before adding that ED suffix. And then finally, we've got the word joined. It's got a double vowel, right? It's working together to make a diphthong, a longer sound to it. So we don't have any short vowel sounds we need to keep short, so no reason to double that E, so that's nothing. So we have a lot here in this nothing category, right? So go ahead and pause right here and make sure that you've got all of your words written in columns in your word work notebook, and then come back to me and unpause. And we're going to take a look at some of these different ending sounds before we go today. So again, make sure you've got your words all written in your word work notebook, and when you're ready, go ahead and think with me here. This time I'm going to think about ending sounds on this. We've already sorted through our different double E drop, and I noticed that some of these have a T sound at the end, so I'm just putting a T at the back of one of my headers. I noticed that some of the ED suffixes just make a D sound, like in the word named, right? Then I noticed some of them go ahead and add a whole extra consonant or syllable to it. It's got an ID sort of sound to it. So I'm going to resort these words here, thinking about the ending sounds and see if there's any patterns with them. Hopped, grabbed, right? And just kind of watch with me. You don't need to necessarily get your words out and do this on your own right now. Just kind of watch and think. Nodded, planned, stepped, dropped, stirred, chewed, seemed, closed, saved, scored, lived, named, passed, helped, shouted, started, hoped, acted, joined, waited, wanted, and mixed. Let's take a look at just that, and the ED says that sound. Let's take a look at we see a P before there, a P before there, a P before there, an S, a P, and an X, which kind of goes in line with that sound, right? So I'm noticing that the words that have a T sound at the end with that ED suffix, most of them end with a P before that. Let's take a look here. We've got nodded, shouted, started, acted, waited, wanted. Notice most of these have a T before that ED, right, aside from nodded. And then we've got scored, grabbed, lived, and I'm looking at a V. A lot of our E drop words are in this category. Our double vowels. Looks like a lot of our nothings, right? We had a couple of them. Stirred was a double. So I don't necessarily see as clear of a pattern right here. The important thing to know is it can make these three sounds, right? That ed, that past tense suffix, can make a diff sound, can make a whole nother syllable, and typically it looks like if it ends with a T, it might do that. And typically if the base word, or before it was doubled, ends with a P or an S sound, it's going to sound like a T. So that's interesting. Think about that as you're writing words with ed suffixes in your own writing. All right, friends, thanks for watching.